Hey all you action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here with another T&I toy review. And today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And in today's review, I'm actually going to be taking a look at two figures. I'm going to be taking a look at the final figure in the Kree Sentry Build-A-Figure wave with the Genis-Vell figure. And then because I've looked at all the other figures in this wave, I'm also going to be reviewing the Build-A-Figure itself. So be sure to stay tuned towards the end of the video for that. Now Genis-Vell here, he comes packaged in the same style that we see with all the Marvel Legend figures. You've got the Legend Series logo up at the top. You've got the figure clearly displayed in the window box packaging. And then down below, because this is a comic book based figure, you've got the Marvel Comics logo and the name of the character. On the sides of the packaging, you've got some artwork for the character. And then on the back of the packaging, you've got additional artwork for the character, a brief bio in multiple languages, and then down below a look at all the figures in the wave that you need to get in order to complete that Kree Sentry. All right, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside the packaging along with the other contents. Now the first thing that you get is the right leg for the Kree Sentry Build-A-Figure. And again, I am going to be taking a look at the Kree Sentry at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. And for now, we'll just set it off to this piece off to the side. Now besides the Build-A-Figure piece, this figure also comes with a blaster. That's the only other accessory that comes with it. All the figures in this wave seem to be pretty accessory light. Now with this blaster, it's just done with a gold plastic. There's really no paint detail. It does look like a futuristic blaster, and I don't believe this is a weapon that we've seen used in the Marvel Legend line before. We probably will see it again sometime down the road, but at this point, I think it is unique to this figure. Now the figure can hold the weapon in either the left or the right hand, but it's probably better to have him hold it in the right hand. Not only does he have the trigger finger on the right hand, but he also has a working gun holster on the right side of the figure. And the holster is a pretty good size for the weapon. The gun fits in there tight, so you don't have to worry about it falling out. And again, it's a good size, so it fits in there well. Okay, now onto the figure itself. So this figure is primarily a reuse of the Capwolf mold, same arms, legs, and torso section. And so not really a whole lot new here with this figure, but I do like what they've done with it. So they've incorporated some translucent plastic, and I'll try and adjust the lighting so you can actually see the translucent portion of it. Okay, so I've adjusted the light so hopefully you can see the translucent plastic. So you can see here, like with his face, you can see the light kind of shining through, and then here on his neck. Now it gets pretty solid here in his chest area, a little bit over here by his arms. You can see some light coming through, and then down here by his waist. And so, you know, again, and the legs look like are pretty much solid, as well as the arms. Maybe a little bit of translucent here at the joints, but for the most part, you get the most translucentness with the neck and the face and here near the waist section. And that's really only when you're shining a light directly behind it. Otherwise, it looks like solid black color. Now, besides the translucent plastic, the figure also incorporates, I don't want to call it glitter, but that's what it kind of looks like, but these little dots sprinkled throughout the black portions of the figure almost look like you're looking at outer space, and it's the stars in outer space. I know nothing about this character, so I believe he's the son of the original Captain Marvel, but other than that, I really know nothing about the character. I've never read any of the stories with him, so I don't know exactly why he looks the way he does. But his skin essentially to me looks like it's supposed to look like outer space or something. And so you've got these metallic dots sprinkled throughout all the black portions of the figure, even on the face. Now the helmet and all the green portions are done with metallic green, and the helmet, it's not removable, but the side pieces you can kind of pull back so you can get a better look at his face, which looks pretty good. He's got the whited out eyes. He's also got the shoulder pads, and these are done with hard plastic and they're glued on there. He's got this chest strap, which is done with just a thin piece of plastic. It is a separate piece that you can remove. Not a whole lot of detail with that, but I guess that's in keeping with how he looks in the comic books. He's got this metallic green circle that is painted on his chest there. You've also got the lines down his arms, which are all painted. You've got the metallic green on the gloves, and then same with the legs. You've got the metallic green that goes down the legs with the boots and everything. So that all is pretty nice. And then he's got these wrist bracelets that he wears, which I believe is where he gets his powers from. And I believe he got these from his father. And if I remember correctly, Sentry. They're called Negabands. I think the character Quasar also wore these. And this actually, you know, I would love to see a Quasar figure, a good Quasar 6-inch figure. I don't think anyone's ever done a 6-inch Quasar. Hasbro did do a 3 3/4 inch version, but again, a 6-inch version would be cool for that character. And also, I guess while we're at it, a new updated Captain Mar-Vell would be cool too. Toy Biz did Mar-Vell, but I don't think Hasbro has done Mar-Vell yet. But the bracelets are separate pieces. They're done with gold plastic, just like the blaster. So, you know, if you take the hands off, you could remove these if you want to. Now, this figure stands, if you count to the tip of the fin on the top of his helmet there, he comes to right about 7 inches tall. And here's a comparison with the Capwolf figure, and these two are pretty much the same height, though technically with the helmet, the Genis-Vell figure is a little bit taller. Okay, and finally, here's a comparison with the Hasbro comic book based Captain Marvel figure, as well as the old Toy Biz Captain Mar-Vell. Okay, now for articulation, it's pretty much the same as that Capwolf figure, but I'll go over it real quick. With things like the shoulder pads, there are a little bit of limitations. Now with the head, it's on a ball hinge joint, so he can turn his head to the left and to the right. He can look down really good, and he can also look up good, which is nice. You get a little head pivot, but not too much. Now with the arms, again, you do have these shoulder pads, and these shoulder pads are a harder plastic. They have some flexibility, but not too much, so that's really about as much up as you can get the arm. And then you can rotate the shoulder there pretty good. You've got a bicep swivel. You've got a double hinged elbow, so you can bend his elbow that much. And then you've got rotation with the hands and hinges on the hands, so up and down movement with those. You've got an ab crunch joint, so he can crunch forward about that much, and then he can look back pretty good. You've got a waist swivel. With the legs, you can only do the splits that much. You can get the leg forward good, you can get it up high, and then you can do the leg out and back. You've got a thigh swivel, you've got a double jointed knee, so pretty good bending there at the knee. You've got a boot cuff swivel, and then you have hinges on the feet, so up and down movement, and you do have ankle pivot with this one, and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Okay, so that's my review on Genis-Vell, and for the most part, I think this is a pretty solid looking figure. I really know nothing about the character, and so from that standpoint, I'm not terribly excited about it, but if you are a fan of Genis-Vell, then I think this is one probably worth checking out. Okay, now moving on to the Kree Sentry Build-A-Figure, and just to recap, the figures that you need to get in order to complete the Kree Sentry: Grey Gargoyle and Genis-Vell, which are the 2 comic book based figures in this wave. The rest of the figures are all movie based. Then we've got the Starforce Commander, Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel herself. Now that's the one figure in this wave that does not have a Build-A-Figure piece. Then we get a second Captain Marvel figure with the short hair and the bomber jacket, young Nick Fury, and then finally the Skrull Talos. Now putting the Kree Sentry together is pretty simple. First thing you want to do is just take the torso section, and you can really start with any of the pieces, but we'll start with the head. So just pop it on, and it should pop on nice and tight. Then you want to put the arms on. Make sure you put the right arm on the right side, and the right arm has a closed fist, and you want to just push it in there. And it might be a little bit tight the first time you push it in there, but it should go in there and fit nice and tight. Same with the left. Make sure you got the left arm on the left side, and the left arm is open-handed, so that's the best way to tell between the two. And then same with the legs. You want to make sure you have the left leg on the left side and the right leg on the right side. And this is what it looks like fully assembled. Now for the figure itself, I think Hasbro's done a pretty good job of incorporating the overall look of the Kree Sentry. Now the Kree Sentry, there are multiple types of Kree Sentries out there, and it's one of those kinds of characters that has, you know, the look of it has changed a lot over the years. Really, it looks a little bit different every time you see him. So I'm not enough of an expert on the Kree Sentries to say this looks like an exact Kree Sentry that appeared in such and such issue, but I do think for the overall just basic look of the Kree Sentry, this figure does a pretty good job of incorporating that. So with this one, it is done with primarily a metallic purple and metallic silver colors. You've got the sky blue there on the eyes with some black outline, and then you've got the metallic silver on the midsection of the face, and then the rest of the helmet is done with that metallic purple. I like the sculpting detail on the top of the head, and that is very much in keeping. The way that looks is very much in keeping with how they appear in the comic books. You've got these weird shoulders as well, which is kind of in keeping. And then you've got pretty nice sculpting detail on the midsection there with the metallic purple. You've got the metallic silver on the midsection of the arms, and pretty nice detailing with the gauntlets there. Same with the back of the figure. I think that looks pretty good. Definitely looks like a robot. and then you've got the metallic silver in the midsections of the legs, and then again, nice sculpting details with the boots. Now, like the look of the Kree Sentry, I think the size is one of those things that tends to vary a lot with this character as well. I think it's been as big as an X-Men Sentinel, but especially the original Kree Sentry that appeared, I think, in the pages of Fantastic Four. I think that was only just a little bit taller than a normal human being. So I think this figure does a good job of incorporating that basic size. And the figure itself here, it stands not quite 8.5 inches, maybe just a little bit over 8.25 inches. And here's a comparison with the comic book based Captain Marvel figure. And then here's a comparison with Hasbro's Marvel Legend Fantastic Four team members. And you can see the Kree Sentry is taller than all 4 members. Not that much taller than Thing, but again, I think that is pretty much in keeping with how the character appeared, at least in the early days in the comic books. Now for articulation, you can turn the head to the left and to the right. It's on a ball hinge joint. You really can't look down very much, but he can actually look up pretty good if you don't pop it off the ball joint there. But he can actually look up about that much, which is nice. You don't get any head pivot with this one. Now with the arms, you can get the arm out pretty good there. And then you've got, again, I popped it out of the joint there. But you've got, if you don't pop it out of the joint, you've got good rotation there at the shoulder. You have a swivel, a bicep swivel there. And then you've got just a single hinged elbow, and these joints are pretty tight on this figure. But you get a single hinged elbow, and then you get rotation with the hands. You got hinges. You've got this piece that comes over the hand, but you do have the hinges, so you still get the up and down movement with the hands. You've got a midsection joint, so you can rotate there, and you can pivot to the left and the right. You get really good pivot with this midsection joint. He can't really crunch forward very much, but he can look back a little bit there. He does not have a waist swivel. With the legs, he can do the splits pretty good there. He can get the leg forward that much, and he can do the leg back good. You get a thigh swivel, and it's kind of hidden by that purple piece there. And then you've got a double jointed knee, so good bending there at the knee. And then with the feet, you have hinges, so up and down movement. And you do have some ankle pivot, not a whole lot, but you do have a little bit of pivot with this one. And then 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Okay, so that's my review. As far as Build-A-Figures go, I think this is actually a pretty decent one. You know, if you're a fan of the Kree Sentry, while I can't say 100% if this incorporates the exact look of a specific Kree Sentry from a specific issue, I'm just not enough of an expert, and these guys have changed their looks a lot over the years. I do think it does incorporate the overall basic look of the Kree Sentry, and so if you are a fan of the Kree Sentry, I think this is worth checking out. I think it'll make a nice, you know, bad guy for your Fantastic Four team. Now, the wave with this figure has started to hit shelves. We'll have a full image gallery up at marvelousnews.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. You should also hit the bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. And of course, you can also follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. I have links to all those in the video description as well. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.